two, three. Well, this is a big night. All right. And Carl Science and myself recorded this segment. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. He's still pumped up. The whole city's pumped up. Every Ravens fan is pumped up. And I want to start off before we talk about Lamar and everything else. What a tremendous coaching job Coach Harbaugh did, not during the game, but getting this team to believe in itself after all these injuries, after everything that happened with J.K. Dobbins and Jimmy Smith. And Derek Wolfe didn't play again, and Ronnie Stanley didn't play, and they had to move Villanueva to the left side. How many changes did he make this week? It's untold.
We've been talking about this since 2008 with John Harbaugh. It's not that he's a game technician or the game tactician. It's that he is a leader of men. It really is what he's all about. And the Ravens are always going to show up. We can count on one hand the amount of games where they haven't shown up. Count on one hand the number of games the Ravens have been in when they were not in playoff contention under John Harbaugh. I mean, this team is always ready to come and to do what they did tonight. I mean, the fight, Lamar is special. And
well, we knew that before tonight. We knew that after last week, and we even knew that after 14 slipped and fell, and he interception by the Honey Badger, and we're down 7-0. Sammy Watkins, of course, I'm talking about, who also had a drop. It wasn't a great night for him. He did make some catches. He made some plays, but it was not a great night. But Lamar, he doesn't let that kind of stuff bother him. And
he's kind of like going that way, isn't he?
Yeah. You know, what's funny, I have so many points to talk about. Let's start off with Odafe Oweh. All right. The number, what was he, the number 2 pick for us out of Penn State.
31st in the first round.
Right. And it was so many questions. Was this right or wrong? This guy is much better off playing NFL teams than he is Maryland. Okay. Because last year for Penn State, he didn't have a sack. And yet last week he had a sack. This week he won the game. He poked the ball out of Hilaire, of Edwards-Hilaire, and then recovered it. That was the game in essence. Yeah, Lamar took care of business, but that play stopped them when they were almost in field goal position. And you wonder why Patrick Mahomes, they were trying to run the clock down to 0, kick the field goal, end the game, and it didn't work out. But what a pick this kid has turned out to be. And this is only 2 games into his career.
He's athletic and he makes plays. I mean, he's following that Suggs tradition, you know, just making plays from the outside. I love having Houston on the team with him. Justin Houston. It's got to be a big advantage for this rookie Oweh to come in and make the impact plays. You know, I mean, you hope a first round guy comes in and makes impact plays, but you know, you don't always get what you wish for. But this kid is more than we wish for, I think.
You know, it's funny. I went to the PLL championship today in Washington at Audi Field, and on my way back, I was listening to all the first games, and there were a lot of games where the team had a great week last week, like Miami going to New England, okay, and then wet the bed today. Why did this happen? Because in the NFL, if you're not ready to play every darn week, if you're not ready to play every second, any team can beat you. And it happened today, left and right. The Titans go into Seattle and win, and the Ravens, 4-point underdog. Nobody in the world thought the Ravens had a chance. But on the Sports Maven, which you also sponsor, I said, you're discounting the fact that the Ravens will finally get this team at home in front of 70,000 people. It was a big factor. You're not going to tell me at home with a crowd When you give up that first touchdown without a crowd, you could have been dead, but the crowd
No,
would not let them fall apart. Tell me about the crowd, Carl. How great was it?
Bruce, it was the most exciting the most excited crowd I've seen in M&T Stadium. I've never seen anything like it. The place was electric. It really was from the start. But the fourth quarter, the place was literally on fire. I mean, you love those moments, Bruce. You know those moments when the place is just jumping for joy after a big play. And we got a few of those tonight, man. And I mean, after the game, just leaving the and you know me, I leave early normally. Not tonight.
No,
Not one. I mean, and when that place was emptying out, it was
it's still
just
people there. They had the post game on Peacock up until a few minutes ago. There was all kinds of fans screaming and hollering.
it was like
An
Mardi.
hour later.
It was like Mardi Gras. Leaving that stadium, people were dancing, high fiving, jumping up and down. Singing the White Stripes song. Seven Nation Army. I mean, just a ton of Kansas City fans, and everybody I saw was so gracious to them, high fiving them. They were great fans. They really took it well, and I didn't see any Baltimore fans rubbing it in their face. The place that had to help the team.
Yeah,
You know,
there's no
you
doubt.
really you can be a 12th man, and they were a 12th man tonight.
All right,
And
let's go down the list. I mean, it's
yeah,
impossible to talk about Lamar. Let's talk about 4th and 1. There
wow,
wasn't a person in that stadium who didn't think we were going to go for it, especially after what happened last week.
I
Mahomes
believe
would have got them in field goal range. He had a minute left. That's that's too much time, even with no timeouts. He was picking us apart all day. The defense was empty, and what can we say? But uh, how great was he tonight?
he was as good as he's ever been. I mean, that's the best he's going to be, and that's all you want from him. He gave you, I mean, he literally gave you everything, and left. What a leader! I mean, he's unflappable. This kid.
He had 16 rushes for 107 yards, uh, none bigger than the last yard and a half. But he had some running plays and Chris Collinsworth talked about it a lot, where he attacked the middle of the defense himself. And they kept showing plays where Kansas City did not know what to do. They moved Chris Jones, that defensive end this year, and he was lost. All right. And then there was one play, I don't know if you noticed it. Uh, Tyson Williams ran a sweep and didn't cut back. All right. He got knocked out of bounds for no gain. Had he cut back, it would have been a touchdown or near it. The next play, the wide receivers came to Lamar and said something. They ran the same play again. He ran for 11 yards. In other words, they straightened him out quick. And he didn't blow any of the read options, and the read options worked. When you have Lamar Jackson, you got to have that read option in your game. Talk about Devontae Freeman. Did that shock you when he ran for 30 yards?
I mean, listen, didn't matter who was running the ball; they all made plays. Latavius Murray, yeah, shocked me for sure with Freeman, and but you talked about it in the beginning of the show. Is Harbaugh just having them ready, having them ready? I mean, I didn't expect you talk about 1-1 the hard way, Bruce. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
talking about one the hard way.
What I
Wow.
want, what I want you to do, and I know you will, is to watch the game again on Sunday
Oh, I
Night
will.
Football, because they marked a lot of the things that the Ravens did good, and they considered it second layer rushing of the quarterback, and that's how they got the. By the way, the interception that Mahomes threw, which really turned the game around, was Owe again, another play. All right.
Impact.
I mean, he got
Impact.
to the quarterback on a second layer rush. He held up Kelsey, then went after the quarterback, you know. But there
What
was
do you
so
think? What do you think of the defensive line, especially in Dockway?
well, uh You mean by the bouquet?
Manabuke.
Right,
Thank-
right. He was great. You know, they got him on a cheap call where
Yeah.
defensive holding, nobody could understand it. Whether I forgot it was Blandino, whoever it was, said he just doesn't get the call. It didn't make any sense. But look, and the 2-point play, he went nuts over. You know, he said, "What in the world did they do wrong?" You know, they couldn't figure it out.
What's the call? Was it an offensive lineman? Was he a yard into the end zone? I mean, that was crazy.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember the exact call, but
He was making-
it was.
They said
It-
no legal player downfield.
Yeah.
I think it was
Oh, you know what
They-
happened? You know what happened? Zeitler crossed the line of scrimmage and actually crossed into the end zone, but the guy almost pulled him. In other
Right.
words, it was so minuscule. And the referee guy who's always on said he doesn't understand why they called that. And it was a big play in the game. But you know what? Could have affected the game because if the Ravens have a 3-point lead instead of a 1-point lead, they probably
Yeah.
would have punted the ball. They could have
Yes.
punted the ball. All
Yeah.
right. They really could have. It would have almost made sense to force them to drive and punt. We got it. You know, we got to give some props to the Kansas City, to Mahomes, and especially Travis Kelce. Is he a train or what?
Yeah, man. Boy, they had some big plays, didn't they?
They did. Well, the Ravens concentrated on stopping Tyreek Hill, and they did. He had 3
Yeah.
catches for 14 yards, but everybody else went to war. You know, Kelsey and this guy Pringle, who barely
Yeah.
ever played.
Yeah.
McCole Hartman had 5 catches. I mean, it was just one after another. Mahomes picked this apart, 24 for 31 and 343 yards, Carl. That's
They-
two games now.
Yeah.
850 yards passing. I'll
It was
tell you
given
right
up.
now, yeah, we're the last in passing defense, and it ain't
Wow.
going to be close. You couldn't do any worse than that. I
Wow.
mean, and 7 touchdowns. All right. And only 1 interception. So we are at the bottom of the barrel. We'll worry about that
No
next
place else
week.
to go but up. There's no place else to go but up, Bruce.
Well, the injury to Peters, to Marcus Peters,
Yeah.
has been huge. But you know, it is what it is. I'm still getting texts from people. Greatest game ever. But you know
It
what?
was.
Listen, was it greater than the Cleveland win last year when Lamar came out of the locker room? I mean, that's Lamar. Lamar makes these games great. Even the
This
damn game we lost last week was great.
You know, you didn't mention yet, though, Bruce.
What?
One guy we haven't mentioned, Hollywood Brown, man. Hollywood
Big
Brown.
game. He was a featured guest on the
2 games.
Peacock.
2 games in a row.
Yeah.
He's coming. He's
Well,
on the
His
son.
6 catches, 113 yards. Mark Andrews came back to life a little bit, 5 catches for 57. Watkins, 4 catches, 44 yards. I'm not talking about him. I'm a bit disappointed. And
Bruce,
I'm glad
How many first
Sammy
downs?
Watkins, yeah. What's that?
How many first downs did the Ravens have tonight?
The Ravens had
It had to be 30.
they had a lot because they really had possession of the ball.
Boy,
They
I mean,
really
just
had possession.
ball.
That one drive, I don't have that stat in front of me, but that one drive, because I pulled these off right away. But that last drive, they had about 4 TDs. But you know, they got the ball with about, I think, 10 and a half minutes left and
Yeah.
gave it up. All right, and kicked off with less than 3. So they
Yeah.
held the ball for 7 minutes. And
Yeah.
Mahomes was on the bench. You could see his hair was standing on edge. He couldn't wait to get back in the game, but
Amazing.
we prevented him from getting back. And that's one way you have to beat Kansas City.
12-0 in the fourth quarter, right?
Right. And what's great about it, look, it's way ahead. We shouldn't even look at it because we're in a 4-way tie for first in our conference.
All right.
But if we happen to tie Kansas City, we got the edge. All right. We got the
But not-
home field advantage if we tie them.
Unless it's Vegas.
Yeah. Well, it could be. I don't know. Vegas, look, they look great beating the Steelers today, but I'm not sure how good the Steelers looked. The
Nobody
Steelers,
knows.
very pedestrian. And I'll tell you what else. Tampa Bay, they won by a lot, but there were 2 interceptions for touchdowns. I don't
Right.
think they look that great. In other words,
Yep.
they're giving up a lot of points, a whole lot of points. But we'll get into that next segment. So to me, one of the big plays that, we forget about was Lamar's drive at the end of the first half. You
Oh,
know, he gets the ball with less than a minute left, goes boom, boom, boom. And, I was a little questionable about throwing that pass with 12 seconds left because we
yeah,
had no timeouts left.
right.
But they threw it. They gained another 11 yards, and then it becomes a chip shot for Justin Tucker. And I
I mean,
will tell you, go ahead.
we were talking about that when Mahomes got the ball late in the first half. We always think of one guy when that happens, and they're getting the ball in the second half. It was Peyton Manning. Peyton always did that, right? He
Right.
get that last first half, and then he get that first drive in the second half, and all of a sudden the close game isn't so close anymore. You know?
Correct. And another play we didn't talk about was when Williams fumbled the ball on our first drive and Duvernay caught it midair. They were going crazy over that. I mean, I forgot to tell you that Collingsworth at the end of the game, he says, I got to stand up and applaud. That's how
No.
great this game was. He
Oh,
said it just doesn't get better. It really doesn't. And 1-1 now. They got the Lions coming up, and with the way the Ravens defense is right now, they can't look past anybody because the
no.
offense is not going to be able to take a week off because they're going to have to keep scoring. There's no doubt about it.
Bruce, I mean, Villanueva. Did you hear his name at all tonight?
Listen, he had a long talk about that. He was humiliated last week, but he says, I'm going to tell you the truth. He said, I was lost out there. I haven't played right tackle, and I really couldn't get my bearings. I was turning the wrong way. He said that Max Crosby had just had me for lunch, but not tonight. He handled that position fantastically, and it shows he's a left tackle. I don't know what they're going to do. They might leave McCary in there. And here's something else. I don't know if you noticed it, but they pulled Powers out and
Yeah,
put in this guy, Ben Cleveland. And
no
Ben
kidding.
Cleveland, yeah, he was great.
Good.
He's a big dude.
Yes,
He
he is.
really is. And he played great at the time that he did. He really changed to really help that running game. But Carl, I mean, they rushed for 251 yards.
Hallelujah.
What do you say
I
about
mean,
that?
you lose 3 running backs, Bruce. You lose 3 running backs. Your whole unit. That was your whole squad. You
Well,
talked all off season. We're going to be really good. Our running backs are really good.
I mean, Devontae Freeman was good. We still haven't seen Le'Veon Bell. I have a feeling he might be his better days might have passed. I'm not positive.
I've heard he's at Taco Bell a lot. That's what I've heard.
Well, it could be, but
Man,
it's not over yet. He was so great. But listen, Latavius Murray was a backup to Alvin Kamara. He would have
Right.
started almost any other team in the NFL, or half
Right.
of the teams anyway. So this is not a shocker. All right. Here he is again, 9 rushes, 36 yards, 1 TD. All right. Hasn't fumbled yet. He's a great guy. And when you mix Lamar in there, but Lamar, I don't even know what to say. See, to me, there's so much more to football than winning the Super Bowl. Yeah, it's all about winning the Super Bowl, but you play now 17 games every season. And Lamar makes every game fun to watch. I don't know how else to put it. Even last week when he fumbled and lost the game, Bruce Laird said on our post game last week, he said, without Lamar, we lose 44-0. All right.
Right. Yes.
I mean, the guy is like, and they showed one of his runs where he ran for about 21 yards in the fourth quarter up the middle, and he made 6 moves.
Oh.
And every time somebody was like missing. So that's why I say to you, you got to get the tape and watch it.
I'm going to. He doesn't get hit. He never gets hit hard. I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, it was special. Defensively now, tackle wise, Patrick Queen had 8 tackles, 7 solo tackles. All right. Wow. Now I didn't catch much on defense. Now Anthony Averett had a play because
One
he played
play.
great. Yeah, he had 4 solo
Sideline.
tackles.
Yeah.
Chris Board had a good game, especially on special teams. Tyus Bowser had 3 tackles. Marlon
Nice.
Humphrey did get beat a couple times, but uh, you know, everybody gets beat
Yes.
by Mahomes. But
Yeah.
I will tell you this much. I thought the guy who replaced Derek Wolf had a great game, Matabuke, even though he had
He
that
did.
one penalty.
Yep. Correct.
He was busted up the middle. He really did what he could to stop them. And look, when you play this team, you only go stop them so many times. You're not going to ever shut down Patrick Mahomes. All right, especially
I
when
agree.
he's got Travis Kelsey. It's impossible.
I
All
don't
right,
know how we. I mean, yes.
you can't guard everybody. You can try to, but you just can't guard everybody. But I tell you what, I'm going to enjoy this game for about 3 days
I
before we
agree.
start thinking about Detroit. But listen, Carl.
Yeah.
Tell me the difference between 1-1 and 0-2.
Wow.
You can't
It's-
describe the difference.
And you're
It's
coming
light
off
years.
and coming off beating Kansas City. I mean, man. I mean, they really, look, they didn't save their season, but they certainly turned the beginning of the first quarter of the season into a completely different beast. You know,
Well, you know, a lot of
Now-
guys are saying that first game of the year, now, it's becoming like a warm up. It counts though,
I agree.
but it's
Yeah.
like a warm up. And yeah, we should have won the game. You know it. I know it.
Yep.
Probably Las Vegas knows it. All right.
Yep.
But once again, they had 80,000 people there. They had Dana White. They had Little John. They had, I don't know who they did have. Okay.
You're right.
They had everybody in the world there. And
No, you're right.
it helped them win. There's no
No,
doubt
we-
about it.
and like you said, the Collins was talking about that, and you're right. The first 2 weeks of the Ravens season, we've seen that fans make a difference. It's a different sport when you have that home team, that home field advantage.
Yep.
And man, we've seen it twice now come into play. It was great.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. All these night games, you know, the Ravens are at night because they're the most fun team to watch. It's that simple. All right.
I can't wait for ratings were for tonight.
Because now you got Indianapolis at night. I think they play Cleveland at night on a Monday
Yep.
night. And
You're
they
right.
also play Miami on the road at night. I mean,
Nice.
how many night games are there? I mean, like a third
Yeah.
of the season's night games, you know. But
Prime time jet.
yeah, there's no doubt.
Prime-
No doubt. Awesome. That's going to wrap up this first segment. You got time to come back and talk about the other games today?
Absolutely, yes.
All right. Then I'm going to put this. I'm going to stop this. We'll be back in a few minutes here on Science at Kirk presents In the Nest on WNST Positive Radio. And first to report tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, we'll be on the air. And you'll be
Yep.
listening to us. Remember, we taped it this past night when we were really, really up on the day. So back in a few minutes.